Hey guys, I'm going to talk you through the North Carolina due diligence process, all broken down on this board right behind me. So check it out. I call the North Carolina due diligence process basically like a chess match because you have really these two things going on, inspection, appraisal, and depending on how they go, depends on what your outcome will be. So let's just start with the differences. So the inspection, you can choose whoever you want to inspect your property. The appraisal, it goes to a third-party appraiser company. And then whenever this report is produced, this is just a big picture of the whole house. It's not like anything is a set fact. Usually they're going to say just check with a general contractor or a specialist. Whereas here, the appraisal management company, they're going to produce a value with the appraiser that they picked. If it comes in at purchase price or above, you're good. Usually nothing happens. But if it comes in below, that's where things get spicy, and depending on what market you're in will determine the result. So let me give you some insight on that. And I've unfortunately had my appraisal come back low both in a buyer's market and in a seller's market. So in a seller's market, what this means is if there's an appraisal gap, normally what happens is the buyer is responsible to cover that gap and to be able to move forward with the loan. So in a seller's market, I had my appraisal come in 10 grand low. This was me, seller's tough luck bub, and then buyer comes to cover the difference. So your loan amount's a little bit lower, but you're covering the difference. This is harder when you have less cash on hand. It's harder for first-time buyers. It's great. It's not horrible for people that have plenty of money in the bank, but it is just a riskier situation. You have less leverage as a buyer. Whereas more so in a buyer's market that I'd argue we've been in with a higher rate environment, you have more leverage for price reduction because the seller runs the risk of relisting, and whenever they relist, there's less credibility there. Like, oh, what happened to this house? Why is it relisted? They risk the chances of getting less money. So that was my case. My result for my appraisal came in around 9 grand low. I don't know, I guess I just have bad luck with appraisals because I disagreed with the value. But thankfully, we were in a buyer's market and I had a great realtor and we strategized together. We tried to do some disputes with appraisal management companies, but that's very hard to get past. So essentially, we get a seller price reduction. So that's me now, smiley face. Now with the inspection, this is different because, if the appraisal comes in high or at purchase price, really nothing usually happens. With the inspection, you are once you've entered into contract, you've put your due diligence money. So mine was $1,500 during the buyer's market, but during the seller's market, my other purchase was $10,000. So, this can be very nerve-wracking whenever you have $10,000 to lose versus $1,500 to lose. So the inspector just gives a general report, and then from that big picture report, you can pick out general contractors and specialists to take a look at repairs, and then you make your request and hopefully you come to an agreement. And this can take a while. You might have some back and forth. It can be pretty stressful. You're determining the amount of risk that you're willing to take on to buy this property. It's pretty stressful. Hopefully you come to an agreement, and then it's not really done there because then those repairs have to be done, or sometimes it's just knocked off the purchase price and then, it's easier and quicker. So my personal results, well, with my first house, I didn't get to ask for any repairs, but with the buyer's market, had a little bit more leverage to ask for repairs. So I got about 80% of the repairs accepted, but problem is we went to check on it yesterday and the repairs were incomplete and we're supposed to close soon. So now they're working on it. I'm gonna wait till those repairs are done to close. So hopefully this summary helps of what the due diligence process looks like. These are kind of the two elements that come into play for this big chess match that you're going through as you head to closing.